So I'm on the side of Ina Shevchenko. I'm on the side of Femin. I'm on the side of Pussy Riot. Fuck Putin. Putin is fucking in the Russian motherfuckers. So Jackson Hinkle, he wants to know when did the Russian invasion of Ukraine begin? It's a gotcha question. Jackson Hinkle's gotcha question is, when did this entire conflict begin? When do you think it began? Do you think it began on February 21st? Or do you think that, this year, 2022, or perhaps it, began in 2014? He's going to point out that the Euro-Maiden Revolution, that wasn't a Euro-Maiden Revolution. That actually was a CIA coup d'etat. CIA coup d'etat. They went ahead and put a bunch of Nazis in charge, give them money and training, and then the Nazis went ahead and kicked the Russians' asses, and then they took over the country. That's Jackson Hinkle's story. And he's sticking to it. There are, unfortunately, some fucking Nazis, the Azov Battalion. Hey, Zelensky, why don't you just get rid of the Azov Battalion? Get fucking rid of it, man. 8% of the goddamn armed forces is fucking Nazis. Less than 3% of the government is right-wing. There's no Nazis in the government, but there's some Nazis in the military. But you know what? There's some Nazis in the U.S. armed forces, too. There's Nazis in Arkansas and Alaska and Montana. There's Nazis all over the goddamn place. There's Nazis in Costilla County, Colorado. Are you fucking kidding me? So Jackson Hinkle has, a gotcha question. When did you think that the Russian invasion of Ukraine, when did Russia invade Ukraine? The actual argument should be between February 21st or the 24th. Because he lied. Putin lied, right? When Putin lied, lots of people died. Let's see, February 21st or the 24th. The 21st is when Putin goes into the Donetsk, Luhansk regions. And that's Jackson Hinkle. He was lied to. Jackson was lied to. He didn't think that Putin was going to invade the Ukraine either. But he did. He did invade the Ukraine. He invaded the Ukraine. Jesus Christ. The rape of Nanking. The rape of Nanking. The rape of Ukraine. That's what Putin is doing right fucking now. But did Jackson Hinkle reverse course? Did Jackson Hinkle reverse course and say, well, shit, I made a goddamn mistake? No, apparently, Donbass is being genocided and, good old Pooty Poo, he's going to do a little cooey-coo in order to save the goddamn Luhansk, Luhansk regions. The Republic, the Grand Republics of the Donetsk, Luhansk regions, the Grand Republic, the Duchy. So, Jackson Hinkle, does he know the damn regions who, Putin went and saved 2 regions in Georgia? The fucking nation state of Georgia, apparently, there's 2 regions that Putin had saved. Does Jackson Hinkle know the names of those 2 regions? Because he's going to say they're the republics? Well, Putin said they're independent, so Jackson Hinkle recognizes it. Nobody else in the goddamn world recognizes it but Putin and Jackson Hinkle. So I think history will definitely say February 24th, 2022 is when Russia invaded the Ukraine. But February 21st was when they invaded Ukraine, but the Donetsk and the Luhansk regions. So if we start with February 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 13 days. This is day 13. Day 13 of the war. Or maybe day 16 if you started on February 21st. So this is a history lesson. This is a little bit of a history lesson here for Jackson Hinkle and anybody, that wants to listen. So you got to see, February 24th is when Russia's going to go from Donetsk, Luhansk into the interior of Ukraine, therefore invading Ukraine. Russian tanks are pouring out of Belarus and Crimea too, into the Ukraine, bombing Kiev, bombing several Kharkiv and lots of other cities and shit. So when did the Russian invasion of Ukraine begin? Jackson Hinkle wants to know. So February 24th, 2022. That's when it began, Jackson. That should be the center of that debate. That should be the center of that debate, February 21st or the 24th. But Jackson Hinkle's point is that America helped a coup d'etat, the Euromaidan revolution in Ukraine 2014, just like the U.S. helped Ukraine's independence in 1991. What in the hell? Now, Ina Shevchenko, a Femin, she said that the president of Ukraine at that time attacked her family. Who was that fucking piece of shit in 2014? That rat bastard motherfucker sold Ukraine down the river, fucked over the majority of the Ukrainian people, want to be a part of the the European Union, the European zone, the fucking NATO. Barely just a majority wants to be a part of NATO, but the European Union, the majority of the Ukrainians want to be a part of the the European Union. So I'm going to side with Ina Shevchenko on this one. I'm going to side with Ina Shevchenko. So when Jackson Hinkle was asking, though, how far back do we go with conflicts, right? Jackson Hinkle lives in California, right? Jackson Hinkle, if we go back in history, that's the Pomo people, the Natanukwa people. What is that? That's I got a whole list of all the natives here. The Yurok, the Wanino, the Quechan. You had the Quechan there in California. The Maidu people and the Mono people and the Hoopa. You had the Hoopa people and the Tolowa and the Achumawi and the Kupino and the Yokuts. You had the Yokuts and the Atsugiwi. The Atsugiwi and the Kahula. The Chumash and the Oleon, the Olone, the Kumiye, the Kumiye. So Jackson Hinkle is sitting on, dark and bloody land. He's sitting on land where you had a total massacre, a genocide of all the indigenous, the native peoples, the Hoopa, the Natanukwa, the Yokuts and the Quechan and the Yana and the Shasta and the Miwok and the Esselin and the Paiute and the Wapo, the Modoc people, the Matoli, the Cholula, the Wiyot and the Wintu and the Chimihuvi and the Serrano people and the Timbishi. The Timbishi people, what happened? And until Jackson Hinkle gets up from his chair and lets the Timbishi people sit in his chair, he is just on... can we even get justice on stolen ground? Jesus Christ, there's a historical justification for the Esselin to come. Okay, so are the indigenous people. So how far back in history do we go? He lives in California, right? So Jackson Hinkle, you need to give California back to the Mojave and the Hopi and the Navajo people and the Hoopa and the Washoe and the Quechan and the Mono and the Timbisha. You need to give your goddamn internet back up, to the Timbishi. That's not fair. The Mojave and the Chimihuvi, the Liasinu, the Cupino, the Yurok, the Chumash, the Mono, the Washoe, the Achomawi, the Northern Paiute, the Kumiye, the Karuk, the Karuk people. Don't forget about the Karuks. So the Karuk people. So how far back are we going to go back, to Jackson Hinkle's geopolitical situation? Just Jackson Hinkle's sitting in a chair in California somewhere, right? So let's go to Ukraine. Let's talk a little bit about the Ukraine, because I got a couple dates here. I got some history. We could go back to 1882 when the Vikings took over Kiev and became a capital of a very powerful state, the Kievan Rus. The Kievan Rus. This is Putin. Putin is looking back with nostalgia at the Kievan Rus. Well, the Kievan Rus are actually the Vikings. So he's looking back upon the Vikings. The Vikings come from Scandinavia. They're Swedish. They're Danish. They're Swedish and Danish and Norwegian. So he's looking at the Norwegians, man. Remember when the Danish and the Norwegians came and conquered the Kievan Rus? And then for 500 years, it's supposed to, be this this grand empire or some shit. But it was it was a Viking. It was a conqueror in 1882. So is that when, it began? Who are the original inhabitants of the Ukrainians? Who are the indigenous people of the Ukrainians? You've had Neanderthal. They found Neanderthal bones. You found the Gravettian and the Tripilians. The Tripilians and the Gravettians and the Sumerians or the Cimmerians with a C, Cimmar. Aryans, the Cimmerians, like the Sumerians? No, it's with the C, like cinnamon, Cimmerians. And then, of course, the Scoloti, the Scythians. You have all these people, go back to Adam and Eve days, or hell, let's go back to the Neanderthal days. Remember when the Neanderthal turned into Homo sapien, did the Homo sapien, they wiped out the Neanderthals and they came from the Homo erectus. You genocidal maniacs, you motherfuckers, you beta-ass motherfuckers, you all went ahead and wiped out the damn Neanderthal. What? They twice as big as you? You didn't like their fucking eyebrows? Very, very thick-ass eyebrows, it's for the big brains, So we could go back, 600 fucking BC? We can go back 2,600 years ago, the 7th century BC. We can go to the 9th century. Swedish Vikings sailed along rivers into the heart of Eastern Europe, and some of them settled into Ukraine. So a bunch of Swedish Vikings, huh? A bunch of Swedish. So you have Putin who's so he's going to go to Sweden and Norway next, and Denmark. He's going to take over all of fucking Europe. The Greeks are going to settle on the north coast of the Black Sea. They founded city-states in Ukraine. So you had the Slavs who settled in Ukraine, the Greeks who settled in Ukraine. So were the Slavs or the Greeks? Well, that was later. The Scythians were before the Slavs and the Greeks. So who are these damn Scythians? They're also called the Scoloti. Who are the damn Scoloti? And who are the damn Tripilians? And who are the Gravettians? So when you go back in time, you see a lot of motherfuckers that's trying to take over Ukraine, trying to violate Ukraine, trying to rape Ukraine, take Ukraine for themselves and for nobody else. You got Swedish Vikings, you got Cimmerians and the Scythians and the Homo sapiens. They fucking wiped out the goddamn Neanderthal. They talk about the domestication of horses was right here in this area. So Ukrainians, the original Ukrainians may have been the ones who domesticated horses for the rest of us. So we went back to 1882. Let's go to 988. You had Vladimir I who converted everybody to Christianity. I'm sure that wasn't a bloody affair. Let's go to 1794 where you had the city of Odessa, founded by a decree of the Russian Empress Catherine the Great. Really? Because there was an ancient Greek settlement that existed in Odessa beforehand. And then there was a Tartar settlement too. So you got Tartars who settled there, Greeks who settled there, and yet in 1794 they're going to pretend that it was the Russians who established Odessa. And Odessa, what a gorgeous, beautiful name, Odessa. Odessa just makes you think of a beautiful Ukrainian woman with sunflowers in her hair, just blue and yellow, beautiful, gorgeous, feminine. That's what the city of Odessa makes me think of. 1794, hey, that's when Russia wanted to take fucking the city of Odessa back then too. Russia in 1794 tried to take a city of Ukraine for themselves. Motherfucking Russia just can't keep their damn hands to themselves, can they? Jesus Christ, Russia. Fucking stay within your own goddamn borders. You know which borders are yours. You know what the rest, that's your country, and Ukraine is a different country. That's not your country, Russia. That's not your country, Russia. So Slavs are going to settle Ukraine, and the Greeks are going to settle the Ukraine after the Scythians had settled the Ukraine. And then the Swedish Vikings are going to come along, and then they're going to conquer all these, rat bastard motherfuckers. 1882, when you had the Vikings conquer Kiev. It's Oleg Oleg. O arm, O foot, no, it's O leg. O butthole, tribute to old butthole. There once was a butthole who lived in a tree. His name was Oleg, Oleg, and he captured Kiev in 1882. And then you had 1,000, 1,100, disaster struck in 1240. The Mongols, led by Bantu, the grandson of Genghis Khan, conquered southern and eastern Ukraine. So there you go. I guess Mongolia gets to take Ukraine. Mongolia, and then Lithuania, and then Poland's going to take Ukraine. So everybody wants a piece of Ukraine. The Swedish Vikings, the Russians, the Polish, the Lithuanians, even the goddamn Mongolians. Batu, he's going to come in 1240. So there's a date for you in 1240. Fucking Mongolians. So let's talk about Oleg. Who is this Oleg? This Oleg was a feared Varangian Grand Prince of Kiev. He earned his nickname the Prophet after he took the city of Constantinople. When he departed the city, the Vikings were from Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. So Ukraine has always been invaded by the Mongolians, by the Norwegians, by the Swiss, by the Danish. No doubt the Dutch and the English have they tried to. Now the Vikings are all over the place. The Vikings were in France and Estonia, and they're in the British Isles. But mostly they come from Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. So, what's my point? Natanukwa means the people of the place where the trail returns. The majority of the tribe is enrolled in the federally recognized Hoopa Valley tribe. So, Jackson Hinkle, when did this war begin? I don't know. When, I guess the white man took the Natanukwa's fucking land. When the white man raped and stole the Natanukwans' land and culture and resources, California, and then, you could go back to them. When was that? 300 years ago? Oleg, the way he actually got power, he tricked and slayed Ass, Cold, and Dur. There's two guys named Ass, Cold, and Dur, and he tricked them. He took control of the Dnieper cities, seized power in Kiev, named Kiev the capital of his newly created Kievan Rus. So this Viking Oleg is the fucking, George Washington. He's the father of the Russian. The Kievan, the father of the Russian state is a Viking, a Swedish Viking. The new capital is a convenient place to launch a raid against Constantinople in 1907. So you want to go back to 2014? That's fine. We could talk about 2014. It doesn't seem crystal clear to me that that we started the damn thing. If we started it and orchestrated it, from start to finish, okay, that's some bullshit. But if we captured a moment in Ukrainian history when the people themselves were standing up wanting to do some shit, and we said, hell, we'll help you out. We'll help you out. Well, that's different now, isn't it? It's one thing to inspire the Ukrainian people, to do something versus like coercing the Ukrainian people to do something, correct? Of course, that's correct. So in 1882, the Swedish, they took the Kievan Rus. They started the Kievan Rus. The Swedes. And then they're going to kill the shit out of Igor. Don't even ask me what the hell happened with Igor. They fucked Igor up. But from Kiev, Oleg of Novgorod led further. So of Novgorod, he's a Russian. Oleg was from Russia, and then he conquered Kiev. And he was a fucking Swedish Viking to begin with. So this Swedish Viking is just conquering Ukrainians. He's conquering Russians. And then what? He's going to be the father of the Russian Ukrainians? And fucking, I guess we all came from some other place, right? We all came from somebody else. He conquered the Slavs, imposed his rule, taxed them. The Norse peoples clearly understood this fact when they entered the Rus lands. It was very lucrative. They knew there was money to be made there. So yeah, AOC and Bernie Sanders needs to declare war on Russia. We need to keep sending arms to Ukraine. Unlimited arms. I would love to go fight for Ukraine. I would go to Ukraine to fight. Just need a ticket. Just need a plane ticket. And you know, a gun would be nice, but shit, I've been doing my judo. I got some judo tricks. That damn Putin, what is he fucking... 1905, there's a date. Hey, Jackson Hinkle, I got some dates for you, man. What about 1932? What was it, the fucking Hobrador? The damn starvation? What was it, 4 fucking million at the least? 4 million Ukrainians, maybe 8 million, 10 million Ukrainians? Fucking shit. 1932 to 1933, that was a bitch. 1905. 1905, that's a battleship Potemkin, you know, Potemkin. Battleship Potemkin was regarded as one of the best films of all time. This is about a 1905 mutiny in Ukraine. And this is during the first Russian Revolution. So 1905, you got Battleship Potemkin. The Russians were going to try to make the Ukrainians eat the meat that had maggots crawling through it. This shit's by gunpoint. They even did that shit in World War II. The Russians are fucking brutal, man. Sit there, point a gun at you and say, well, you better fight the Nazis or we'll shoot you. So who's the fucking Nazis? Are you the Nazis or are they the damn Nazis? Everybody's a fucking Nazi, huh? Russians were made to fight the Nazis by gunpoint. Thank goodness. You know, 80% of all the casualties in World War II were the damn Russians, right? Or a whole bunch of them, 80 fucking million people. 80 billion people, I think, Russians. Basically, if it wasn't for Russia, we wouldn't have stopped Nazi Germany. The Russian people, maybe they actually didn't have a choice in the matter, but thank goodness they fought against the Nazis. But why the fuck are the Russian people so weak? How did you let Stalin fucking run your asses over? How the fuck are you letting Putin run your asses over? Is it the cold-ass tundra? It's fucking freezing, ain't it? It's fucking cold. Your hands are cold. Your feet are cold. You can't... How are you gonna goddamn vote? You can't even write your damn name down. It's too fucking... The ink is all frozen. Jesus Christ. So, Battleship Potemkin in 1905, the Russian Revolution of 1905. This is also known as the First Russian Revolution. So, the Russians are trying to make the Ukrainians eat the meat that had maggots crawling through it, right? You're fighting this war with us, and this is the meat we give you, so you better eat the meat that we give you. Well, we're not going to eat that. You better fucking eat it or I'll fucking blow your brains out. You're going to make me eat this disease fucking maggot fucking meat, you motherfucker. And because they mutinied and said, fuck you, motherfucker, they're like riding around Odessa and shit. And, you know, they were basically inspiration. You had a wave of mass political and social unrest in 1905 all throughout the Russian Empire. It was directed against the Tsar and the nobility and the ruling class. You had worker strikes, peasant unrest, military mutinies. Tsar Nicholas II spearheaded some constitutional reform with the October Manifesto. This took the form of establishing the State Duma, the multi-party system, and the Russian Constitution of 1906. So, the first revolution led to a constitution. Eat your heart out, Britain. United Kingdom don't even have a goddamn constitution. And the multi-party system, the State Duma, so you got a legislature. Multi-party system, you got yourself opposition parties. You got yourself a goddamn democracy is what you got. And the Russian Constitution, shit. You got a democratic monarchy is what you got. So, yeah, you had Stalin, right? That's Jackson Hinkle's fucking boy. Stalin is going to not only kill Trotsky, so the purity of the Russian Revolution completely destroyed. Yeah, that's because Trotsky said Stalin fucking betrayed the revolution, and he did. Stalin did betray the fucking revolution. A socialist revolution in one state, motherfucker. You could have had socialism in a couple more states than one, you pile of shit. Fucking, and then not only did he kill Trotsky, what did he kill, like 40 million Russians? Starved and killed 40 million fucking Russians with the gulags and the kulaks and all that shit. 1932 to 1933. So Jackson Hinkle's boy, there you go. There's a date for you, Jackson Hinkle. That's when this shit started. Back in 1932, that was what, 90 fucking years ago. So 90 years ago, you had Russia who starved the shit out of Ukraine because Russia didn't want to raise their own, grain. They didn't have good farming practices. Instead of raising their own crops and their own grains and shit, they'd rather fucking steal from the Ukrainian people. So when you see the Ukrainian flag and you got the blue on top and you got the wheat yellow on bottom, should make you think about the 4 million Ukrainians who starved to fucking death for Uncle Joe Stalin, the fucking betrayer of the revolution, the betrayer of the communist revolution, motherfucker. Is that what Karl Marx had in mind? Karl Marx was like, Joseph Stalin, why don't you starve the shit out of the Ukrainian people and then we'll have a communist utopia. Right, that's all it took, right? To starve the goddamn... Fuck you. So the Kievan Rus, the Vikings, they're the Danes, man. They're the Denmark. They're Danish. They're the Swedes. The Swedes, the Danish Swedes, the Swedish Danes, the Norwegians. Remember back in the day when the Norwegians conquered us? Remember back in the day when the Swedish, the Danish, remember when we used to be Danish? Motherfucker, I remember when we used to be Scythian. We used to be Scoloti. We used to be an ancient nomadic people living primarily in a region known as Scythia, which today comprises of the Eurasian steppes of Kazakhstan, the Russian steppes of the Siberian, Ural, Volga and Southern regions in eastern Ukraine. The Pontic Scythians themselves were invaders, were of Iranian origins. Iranian origins. Scythians were Persians. The Scythians in Ukraine spoke a language of the Scythian branch of the Iranian languages and practiced a variant of ancient Iranian religion. So the original Ukrainians are Iranians? So we should give the Ukraine to Iran. There you go. Let's just give Ukraine to Iran. That's who the Scythians originally were. The Scythians were there before the Greek and the Tartars and all the rest. Right? But then, wait, hold on. We had some people before the Scythians. Right? You had the Samarians, right? And then the Tripilians. What about the Tripilians? And then what about the fucking Gravettians? The Gravettians. Don't you forget about the Gravettians. You had Gravettians in Ukraine. Tripilians, Gravettians, Samarians, Scoloti Scythians, Neanderthal Homo sapiens. You had Slavs. You had Greeks. You had Tartars. Swedish Vikings. You had Mongolians. So, yeah. How far back do you want to go? It seems like everybody... Who wouldn't want Ukraine, frankly? It's the biggest damn country in fucking Europe, right? It's bigger than France, behind Russia. Is Russia even Europe at this point? Not anymore. This ain't a way to get your fucking... You want respect, you motherfucker? I think we should have let Russia join NATO there. Problem fucking solved, you stupid fucks. If you turn an enemy into a friend, haven't you stopped him from being an enemy? But 2,600 years ago, the Scythians ran Ukraine. So we need to give it back to the Scythians, the Scoloti people. Find out who the Scoloti people are, and then give the Ukraine back to them. The Pontic Scythians, okay? The Iranians. Just give it to Iran. Just give it to Iran. The Scoloti, they were good at riding horseback. They were a horseback riding culture. So there you go. Who are the original Ukrainians? Nobody fucking knows. Probably goddamn Neanderthals. The Tripilians. the Trypillians or the Gravettians or the goddamn Scolatians, Scythians. Maybe it's the Mongolians. Let's just give it to Mongolia. Either Iran or Mongolia. Right? That's who it should go back to if we're actually trying to be fair. If we're going to adjudicate this in the public court, just say Putin. Everything Putin does is good and proper and right. Everything Putin does is good and proper and right. I ain't going to question anything. I question the U.S. government, not the Russian government at all. I don't question anything the Russian government tells me. Jackson Hinkle was even shocked about him invading the Ukraine. He didn't think he was going to, but he did, didn't he? Didn't he, Jackson? There's 32,000-year-old fossils in the Crimean Mountains. That's the Gravettian culture, right? Catherine the Great, that fucking pile of shit. Yeah, you founded Odessa. Fuck you. Ignore the Greeks and the Tartars and the... Ukrainian is like one of the most beautiful languages. They're definitely their own country, their own nation. What the fuck is... What's this conversation? What are we having? I don't understand the conversation we're having. Odessa could be Putin's next target. Odessa could be Putin's next target. Odessa is beautiful, gorgeous. It's cosmopolitan. There's a Russian-speaking majority. A rich history as the birthplace of the Jewish Russian mafia. And also a storied setting for crime novels back in Odessa. Odessa sounds just as gorgeous as Ina Shevchenko. Don't that just sound awesome? Isn't that just fun to say? Ina Shevchenko? Wasn't there a female that had got... They got shot, and a member of Femin was killed or found dead or something. Oksana, 31. Oksana Shacho. Oksana Shacho. She from Ukraine. I feel like she's Ukrainian. Yep, 31-year-old from Ukraine. There you go. Oksana Shacho. She was found dead in her Paris apartment. What happened? What, she probably spurned some man's advances? Her body was found with a note on it? What did the note say? Said something about Putin? Did Putin have something to fucking do with it? Mrs. Shachko had posted on Instagram, "You are fake," but it's not, clear who the target of her post was. They're kind of suggesting that, she had took her own life, but that's, I don't know. Seems suspect to me. So anyways, Oksana Shacho. She's from Ukraine. So when was that? There's a date for you. And what's she talking about? Impeachment for the president. She don't like Putin. This is 2011? 18? When was this? I don't know. But she's a fucking revolutionary warrior. Oksana Shachko. Anyways, extremist feminine leader Ina Shevchenko defies death threats. All right, so what else? What else we got here? Any other history or historical dates? We got 1905. We got 1932. The Russian Revolution of 1917. What is that about? Didn't Stalin fucking kill Lenin? Lenin was poisoned. These motherfuckers, that's what they love to do. These motherfuckers love to poison people. So, there you go. Ukrainian civilizations. They date back to 4800 BC at least. 4, 5, 6, 7,000 years ago. The Scoloti. Scythia is the name given by the Greeks, but they called themselves the Scoloti. Oh, is that Scythia? Motherfucker, we're the Scoloti. You better buck up and recognize You better buck the fuck up and recognize we're the goddamn Scoloti, you motherfuckers. So, there you go. There's Jackson Hinkle's gotcha question. What? When did this conflict begin? February 24th, 2022. February 21st. I'll argue that it began when he fucking invaded Luhansk and Donetsk. And why, Jackson Hinkle? You're going to say they're independent republics? You're going to recognize them being independent republics. Do you recognize Amazonia as independent republics? And then here's my gotcha question. Georgia. Do you, well, actually, that's two of them, right? Do you recognize Amazonia? Hey, Jackson Hinkle, do you recognize Amazonia? That's a separatist region that's, trying to, do you recognize them as being independent? You're a fucking expert on this shit now. And then Georgia, there's two regions in Georgia that Putin, he took over because they're independent fucking regions too. But I think he had a election, referendum, plebiscite or some shit. I'm not for sure on that. But can Jackson Hinkle tell me what those two regions are today? Because if he goes into Georgia and says that those two are fucking nations, but he doesn't recognize that they're nations today, why not? Because they're not fucking countries. They're not big enough to fucking remember. Yeah, Putin went into Georgia to save these two fucking countries, right? Okay, well then what are the names of those countries? I'm sure he knows. And then what about Grozny? Let's just go back to 1999. You had Vladimir fucking Putin in 1999 killed tens of thousands of people. So what is that? At least 20,000 Chechens? 20,000 Chechens got killed in 1999. Grozny, the capital of Chechnya. The capital of Chechnya got fucking flattened. Warplanes, cluster bombs, ballistic missiles, launchers, rocket launchers, tanks, heavy artillery. So 20,000 people. Don't put, anything past Crimea, that was pretty short. The Georgia War, that was only 12 days. In Crimea, only 3 civilians and 3 soldiers were killed. So that was, virtually fucking bloodless, right? But this Grozny in 1999, Putin, you got to answer for this Grozny. Also, Putin goes around poisoning motherfuckers. There's like a whole list here of all the people that Putin has poisoned. Let's see. Putin has poisoned Alexander Litvinenko. He poisoned Anna Politkovskaya, Natalia Estimirova, Stanislav Markelov, Anastasia Baburova, Boris Nepsov, Boris Berezovsky, Paul Klebnikov, Sergei Yushinkov, killed in an assassination by a single shot to the chest just hours after his political organization, Liberal Russia, had been recognized by the Justice Ministry as a party. Sergei Yushinkov, what in the fuck? Huh? I guess that's easier than having to run against somebody, right? Just fucking goddamn shoot people. Who the fuck can identify with this motherfucker, right? Who in the hell can identify with this motherfucker?
We are welcoming a candidate as a Green Party candidate. Always super excited to platform.
So, what else? What else we got? Putin's got a lot of fucking blood on his hands. He's an old-ass piece of shit. He was only supposed to go to Luhansk and Donetsk. He's gone into the fucking Ukraine. We got to declare war. It was World War III when the motherfucker went in. When goddamn Archduke Franz Ferdinand got shot, it took the rest of the countries eventually, 2 years for America to jump into World War II. So just because the precipitating act that starts World War, that doesn't, immediately world wars don't happen right after the precipitating, thing that started the damn thing. The Archduke Franz Ferdinand got assassinated. The entire world didn't just descend into fucking war. It took like a year or two. People had to figure out what the hell's going on. Pick this side, pick that side, what the fuck ever. The Russo-Georgian War was a war between Georgia on one side. So you had 400 civilians, 400 troops, 800 total killed in Georgia. It only lasted 12 days. I don't know. To lose Odessa is to lose the whole thing. You hope to have God on your side, but you must have Odessa. What am I saying here? 73% of Ukrainians want to join the European Union, and 53% of the Ukrainians want to join NATO. So, 6,000 years ago in the steppe lands north of the Black Sea from Ukraine to Kazakhstan, archaeological evidence. So there you go. How far back do you want to go? How far back do you want to go? I wish that we actually had a Walter Cronkite. We could say, okay, definitely, for sure, 100%. The U.S. government just funded fucking neo-Nazis and just neo-Nazis to get a neo-Nazi agenda, and that was the whole fucking point, and the only goddamn point. There was nothing else going on. That's just not the case. Also, there's more neo-Nazis in Arkansas than there is in Ukraine. There's more neo-Nazis in the U.S. Armed Forces, and so, God, we're going to send more fucking Nazis on top of the Nazis that are already over there? I think having a denazification of the goddamn world is not a bad idea. It's good rhetoric. I mean, Putin's being a fucking Hitler, so his critics are saying he's a Hitler, and he's saying he's against Nazi shit, so everybody in Europe is against Nazi, shit. How come Americans aren't against Confederate KKK Nazi shit? The way the Chechens had kicked the Russians' ass, because tens of thousands of civilians are going to get killed in Grozny. But you had about 4,000 to 5,000 very battle-hardened, very determined, fearless Chechen fighters operating on foot. They had a Foot Clan, largely in small groups, and they brought Russia, a superpower army, to its knees. So Russia had vast conscript legions, a huge armory, helicopter gunships, MiG fighter planes, but you had 4,000 to 5,000 Chechens that brought the military to a stop, and essentially the Chechen fighters were saying, "Oh, look, you can take the whole damn country over. You can capture the towns, you can capture the country, you can capture the mountains, you can capture the air, you can capture the dirt. But until you find us and kill us, until you defeat the 4,000 to 5,000 Chechens, then you still have a war on your hands." And so eventually the Russians admitted that that was the case. They allowed the Chechens to have an elections. They signed some sort of peace agreement. And then a man named Aslan Maskhadov won the election. And it looked like that, perhaps there could have actually been peace in the Middle East. But the winter of 1999 to 2000, the Russian military fired massive barrages at the city using long-range heavy artillery, tanks, multiple rocket launchers, warplanes, cluster bombs, even ballistic missiles. Grozny became the most destroyed city on Earth, according to a United Nations assessment. But despite the enormous death toll, the conquest of Grozny made Mr. Putin hugely popular, and it brought him his first election victory and consolidated his grip on power. So there was the lesson for goddamn Putin. You kill the fuck out of tens of thousands of Chechen civilians, well, Russia will just elect you to enormous fanfare. My God, the Russian people, they fucking love these goddamn bloody fucking dictator fucking, imperialist conquering, goddamn imperializing emperor motherfucking wannabe son of a bitch. Fucking Pooty Poo and his cooey coo. Fuck Pooty Poo and his cooey coo. Motherfucking Luhansk and Donetsk. Yeah, the great fucking republic. Liechtenstein will kick fucking Donetsk's ass any day of the week. Fucking Luxembourg will beat the shit out of goddamn Luhansk. Luhansk and Donetsk ain't shit. Fucking genocide. Oh, there's a genocide in Luhansk and Donetsk. 14,000 people. We'll talk about body count, I guess next coming up. But out of the 14,000 that were killed, the 4,000 of them were Ukrainian. So Ukrainian are losing, the Ukrainians are losing just as many people in that fucking shit as the Russians were. So, and then how many Russians, all the Russians being killed right now is fucking Putin's fault. All the goddamn, basically to be on the side of Putin is to be on the side of Putin. You're against the Russians. You don't give a fuck about the Russians' lives. You don't give a fuck about the Ukrainians' lives. You don't give a fuck about anybody's lives. Just a fucking dictator, fucking Hitler motherfucker doing some dumb Hitler shit. And that's the side you're on? Hey, your neighbor is being raped by a gang of fucking thieves. Oh, okay, it's not your next door neighbor, so who gives a shit? It's not your neighbor on this fucking block, it's your neighbor way over yonder. Well, your neighbor being raped by a gang of thieves way over yonder, you think might, not affect you? But injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I think it will fucking affect you. You're gonna let evil fucking prevail. The limits of evil is dictated by the good. Good says, this is, nah, evil, this is where you stop. Nah, evil, you stop right here. So, yeah, Crimea was relatively, bloodless. 6 people killed. The Russo-Georgian War was at 2008. August 2008 only lasted 12 days. Less than 1,000 people killed. Relatively bloodless. Relatively. But this is just fucking Russia. I mean, they're doing their damn homework. I'll tell you that much. Russia is finding those stupid-ass regions which has a bunch of Russian fucking speakers, and they're kind of saying, wait a second. Yeah, those Russian speakers, they used to be Russians, right? Yeah, sure, why not? So when did I didn't start the fire. The fire's been burning since the world's been turning. So 1999, we can go back to 1999. Is that when the goddamn Ukrainian fucking Russian war began? Or we can go back to 2008 with Georgia, with his imperialism. We can go to Crimea, or we could go all the way, It's a good little history lesson. When you say, huh, America? I want to just go over the dates one more time. So this conflict either began February 21st or the 24th, 2022. You have 1794. That's when Russia took Odessa. Was that bloodless? I bet you there was blood. What about 1882? The Vikings took Kiev. So the Swedish Vikings are taking Kiev. The Mongolians are going to take Ukraine in 1240. Christianity takes Ukraine in 988 under Vladimir I. So you also had the Tripolians and the Gravettians and the Samarians and the Scoloti. Some Neanderthal too. The Scoloti. So 882 is when a Viking named Oleg captured Kiev. And 7th century BC of the Scythians. 1794 is Odessa. 1905 is the battleship Potemkin. Potemkin. The Norsemen. Right, I didn't know what Vikings, Norsemen, the Northmen of the North. So the Norsemen so they're Vikings, the Russians are just a bunch of Vikings. (1905), 1932. What they call that, the Hobrador or some shit? And I guess we'll just end it off there. The Hobrador. What's it called? The Holodomor. The Terror Famine, or the Great Famine, in Soviet Ukraine from 1932 to 1933 killed millions of Ukrainians. Holodomor. It emphasizes the famine's man-made and intentional aspects, such as the rejection of outside aid, confiscation of all household foodstuffs, and restriction of population movement. Holy shit. Basically, they just, like Palestine, just kind of blocked them all in. Since 2006, the Holodomor has been recognized by Ukraine and 15 other countries as a genocide of the Ukrainian people carried out by the Soviet government. Yeah, that's your boy Stalin. That's when this shit started, motherfucker, in 1932. Is that 90 years ago? This shit started 90 years ago. Huh? Look, here's longbow bird.